It started as a dream. A man with eyes like fire, whispering truths I shouldn't know. I thought it was just my mind playing tricks. Until I woke up to burned feathers on my floor and notes written in a language I never learned. He called himself a watcher, and the more I learned, the more I realized he wasn't just visiting me. He was preparing me. I'm not sure why he chose me or how he knew what he had to show me. All I know is that if I hadn't woken up from those dreams, I might not be here right now. Or if I had, I wouldn't be the same. So when did life get so strange? When did reality become a playground for the unreal? And who was this man who invaded my sleep, my very essence, only to leave cryptic clues behind? His name was Azazel, and he was everything I feared and couldn't understand all at once. He first appeared in my dreams as a man wrapped in shadows, his face hidden, his presence overwhelming. He didn't speak, but somehow I heard his voice echoing in my mind, whispering secrets that felt profoundly true, yet utterly alien. I remember sitting up in bed, heart pounding, trying to grasp what he had shown me, only to find myself shaking with fear as the dream faded upon waking. But then, the strangest part began. I'd find feathers on my pillow, black as night, smelling faintly of sulfur. At first, I dismissed them, assuming I'd simply dreamt them. But the next morning, there were more feathers, along with strange symbols scrawled on my walls and floor in what seemed like blood. Fear turned to confusion. What was happening? Was I losing my mind? Then came the notes. They appeared on my desk, rolled up tightly and sealed with a strange wax. Unfurling them revealed indecipherable characters that looked ancient, almost otherworldly. They were written in a language I'd never seen, a language that seemed to twist and shift as I gazed at it. As though alive, panic tightened its grip. I felt trapped in a nightmare from which there was no escape. My rational mind screamed at me, urging me to destroy the notes, to seek help, to call the police. But something held me back. An inexplicable curiosity, a morbid fascination with the enigma that had become my life. I was torn between the desire to understand and the terror of what I might find out. In those moments of turmoil, one thing became my solace. The Watcher, for that's what I began calling him, returned each night, and with him, I found fragments of understanding, glimpses into a world I'd never known existed. He showed me things, not with words, but with images, feelings, memories that weren't mine, but somehow resonated within me. I saw vast libraries filled with texts written in the same eerie language. I witnessed rituals under a blood-red moon, felt the weight of unseen eyes upon me. And through it all, the Watcher remained a silent guide, leading me through mazes of the unknown. Each night brought new revelations, new horrors. The line between dream and reality blurred until I wasn't sure which I inhabited. I'd wake up gasping, my sheets soaked with sweat, the room around me seeming both familiar and alien. The feathers, the notes, they were always there, tangible proof of my nightly journeys into the abyss. One night, the Watcher spoke to me. His voice echoed in my mind, rich, resonant, like a cello string pulled taut. "You seek understanding," he said, his tone a caress and a command. "I am Azazel, and I will show you." Then he vanished, leaving me alone in the suffocating darkness. From that moment, our nightly meetings took on a new intensity. Azazel became more forthcoming, revealing fragments of a tale that was both epic and terrifying. He told me of a war, not of flesh and blood, but of minds and souls, of angels and demons locked in an eternal struggle for dominance. He spoke of realms beyond our own, where the laws of nature bent to the whims of the powerful. But amidst these tales, he also showed me wonders, breathtaking vistas of unimaginable beauty, galaxies swirling with colors I'd never seen, planets teeming with life forms that defied earthly comprehension. I felt my understanding expand, my consciousness stretching to encompass the immensity of the universe. Yet even as I soared on these celestial heights, I sensed a darker purpose beneath Azrael's teachings. I was being prepared for something. But what? Then the day came when my worst fears were confirmed. I awoke to find Azazel waiting for me in my room, his form solid and real, his eyes blazing with an otherworldly fire. I screamed, paralyzed with terror as he approached me, his features gradually emerging from the shadows. His face was handsome, almost angelic, yet there was something unsettling about it, a predatory grace that made me wary. Azazel reached out, his touch sending a jolt of energy through me. "Do not fear," he said, his voice a silken whisper. "I am here to help you." But his words rang hollow. I could sense the truth beneath them. I wasn't safe. I was merely biding time until whatever fate he had planned for me unfolded. In the days that followed, Azazel's visits became more frequent, his presence more pronounced. He moved between the realms with ease, appearing and disappearing at will, leaving behind the scent of ozone and a lingering chill. He revealed more of the grand tapestry, the machinations of angels and demons, the balance of power that teetered on my world's fate. And all the while, I felt myself changing, becoming more attuned to the energies that crackled around me, more sensitive to the whispers of the unseen. I could feel the threads of destiny weaving themselves around me, pulling me toward a destiny I couldn't comprehend. The climax came unexpectedly. I was in my room, surrounded by the relics of my transformed life, when Azazel appeared before me. His expression was grave, his eyes filled with a profound sadness. "The time has come," he said, extending a hand that seemed to glow with an inner light. "Will you walk with me?" I hesitated, torn between the life I knew and the one that beckoned me from the shadows. Fear warred with curiosity, safety with the allure of the unknown. Looking into Azazel's eyes, I saw not a monster, but a being of immense power and sorrow, caught between worlds like me. Taking a deep breath, I reached out and took his hand. The moment our fingers met, a surge of energy coursed through me, and the world dissolved into a maelstrom of light and sound. Then, just as abruptly, it all fell silent. I opened my eyes to find myself in a place that defied description. The sky was a swirling vortex of colors I'd never seen, and the ground beneath me hummed with a strange energy. Azazel loomed beside me, his form shimmering as though half seen, half hidden. "Where are we?" I whispered, my voice trembling with awe and apprehension. Azazel didn't answer. Instead, he turned, gesturing with a sweep of his arm. "Look," he commanded softly, and then I saw them. Emerging from the swirling mists, figures began to coalesce, taking shape before my awestruck gaze. They were majestic, terrifying, their forms wreathed in light and shadow. Angels and demons, locked in a timeless dance of power and grace, their very presence shaken me to my core. This was the culmination of Azazel's revelations, the war of minds and souls, the battle for the very fabric of existence. And I, caught between two irreconcilable forces, was its focal point. In that moment of realization, the gravity of my situation crashed down upon me. This was no longer a dream, a fantasy, or a delusion. It was my reality, whether I embraced it or rejected it. As the celestial drama unfolded around me, I felt a profound sadness emanating from his eyes, once ablaze with power, were now clouded with sorrow. With a heavy heart, I realized he wasn't just showing me this war. He was sharing his anguish. Azazel was a fallen angel, cast out from the celestial ranks for reasons I couldn't fathom. His love for the ethereal realm was palpable, yet he was denied its light, condemned to wander the twilight realm between worlds, forever yearning for what he'd lost. Suddenly, a surge of anger coursed through me, directed not at Azazel, but at the unseen powers that had caused his fall. A fierce determination ignited within me. If Azazel found solace and redemption in my awakening, then by heaven, I'd bring him back to the light. Wiping away my tears, I turned to Azazel, my voice ringing with newfound resolve. "Show me what I can do," I declared, meeting his gaze unflinchingly. "Tell me how I can help." His eyes widened in surprise, then filled with gratitude. "You would give up your world for mine," he whispered, his voice thick with emotion. "Because in your sorrow, I see my own reflection, and in your fight, I hear my soul's call." A flicker of a smile touched Azazel's lips. "Then, let us begin," he murmured, extending a hand towards the swirling vortex that had brought us to this place. "For the dawn of a new day is nigh, and with it, the promise of a different ending."